Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. So I'm excited to launch not only Asia Loopers India, but Asia Loopers, a new platform embracing Asia's digital innovation. Our purpose is really to go beyond China and embrace what's going on across the region that is totally exciting, super challenging.
We feel that the rebounds will be strong and the growth over the next years, decades will be strong because the driver for a strong growth are there. Go, 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 but keep in mind that obviously there will be some complexity, and India is the country of, I would say, of a patient investment. Don't go to India just to and expect a quick return. It will be very profitable, but you have to make sure to have a long-term strategy and the resources to be there on the long run, and I'm sure it will be very successful.
Traditionally speaking, households also maintain high savings share of their income. Government of India has actually worked a lot over the past couple of years to create a conducive business environment. It's undeniable that India is today one of the top markets in terms of investment destinations, and we can see that with a recent report that was launched by EY and CII.
In order to manage family budgets, families are looking for discounts everywhere, online and offline. Yet this market is booming, which means that brands should expect thinner margins but more consumers in the future. That will be the best way to make money in India. While few people are buying entry-level cars and two-wheelers, the ultra-luxury segment is booming. Mercedes-Benz has sold out its entire lot of Maybachs for next year, as have Lamborghini.
Shopping is essentially an emotional experience, and any guidance that we have to take for retail from here will have to be anchored in recognizing the emotions. And what you see here is what we've asked them and they've shared as their feelings. And you can see on the negative side, understandably, there is a sense of frustration, boredom, loneliness. These are feelings which are dominating, and that's completely understandable.
Mobile now is the primary mode of entertainment for nearly everyone. And if I look at time spent, 70% of time spent on handsets today is on chat, social, and content. Access and affordability will continue to be the core drivers for e-commerce in the coming few years. And last but not the least is the growth of middle class that is happening.
We got a lot of feedback from a lot of customers that while they were comfortable buying jewelry up to the price point of let's say $1,000 or so online, but beyond that, online only was not something that they were very comfortable.
Most of our revenue today is coming from non-metro cities, right? So 60% of our revenue comes from cities where these brands don't have stores, which is really the power of omni-channel, right?
What is your view on India? Is the future of Indian beauty to export beauty products worldwide or to import because of such a large population now entering middle-class status and ready to buy more premium beauty?
So Joel, we are so huge and massive. We can do everything. We can import and we can absorb exports. That is the beauty of our country. Actually, most people call India as one country, but when we look at it, it's a lot of countries within one country. Even the states don't behave like each other. The consumers don't behave like each other. There are a lot of distinctions within one country.
How would you describe the different challenges that Western luxury brands face in trying to conquer the Indian market?
India is a very complex market. At first sight, it's very large. It's the third economy today. But when you look at the numbers, it's not even 10% of the luxury market in China.
And what's difficult for the West, and you know this as well as I do, is for us to accept, and our industry is no different, that there is a shift in the balance of power to Asia, particularly to China and India. There are really two worlds, two cities. There's the analog traditional, which is no growth or slow growth.
We've understood that you did quit the arena.
And digital is growing. So India, again, you touched on it, Lou. I mean, I think Modi has been really good for brand India. But obviously there have been a number of challenges, particularly as around COVID. We think there's a major opportunity in India around transparency. The market is not a transparent market. It is not as opaque as Japan, but there is and I think the same thing, by the way, applies to China.
A lot of brands listening today will use some sort of traditional analytics, so Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics, and look, they're great. But what we've started to realize, what brands have started to realize as well, is you need to understand the behavior, not just in terms of clicks and visitors, but also the behavior in between the clicks. Isolated metrics will only get you so far, and to really understand intent and really deep behavioral understanding, you need to go further. And this is bringing in, where tools like Content Square come in. And effectively, what we are is a platform to help you get insight into your visitors on your websites, on your apps at speed. So some questions that you should be asking your digital teams, is there any looping behaviors between certain pages? Do you know the interactions as people flow through your site? You really need to be able to understand these for every visitor segment you have. How relevant, engaging, or useful is the content on your page? Is there content there that you don't need to be putting on your site? Can you reduce the levels of content? And do you understand how visitors are engaging with the content? Are there any parts of your checkout funnel which are causing frustration? Can you easily identify visitor frustration online? And actually, can you quantify that amount of lost revenue for non-transactions? Do you actually know how much visitor frustrations are costing you on your site? And do you know which journeys are more likely to lead to transactions versus those that aren't?
We have seen in the past few years a growing interest amongst larger international MNCs such as Chanel, of course, to invest in the entrepreneurial talent in India.
Chanel is a company where each region has a lot of independency in their process and organization, and the purpose to position the team in India was also to be able to bring best practice, to share best practice all over the world and all over the region. That was not necessarily coming from corporate. That was coming from a team of experts, business process experts, IT process experts. That was really the third strategy. We do not realize that we have a huge saving coming to India. And that was really more about innovation, talent, and change, the main driver.
Actually helping Indian companies design the internet in India. You've seen, mobile first apps created for different use cases, and especially in lower socioeconomic backgrounds. And one of the big successes is TikTok. TikTok, of course, which is one of the big casualties of the digital strike, is no longer accessible and now banned in India. But until this time last year, TikTok was one of the most actively used apps in the country.
90% of the Indians have access to Aadhaar as of today. And this Aadhaar allows them to access both public and private sector services by proving their identity. And it's become so popular and so pervasive that more than 60 billion authentications have been done so far.
We already have close to $10 billion of investments just in this year. India already has over 50 unicorns, which are more than $1 billion valuation companies. And in fact, that number is scaling up month on month. This year itself, just in the first half, we already have 16 new unicorns in the country. So I think it's a great opportunity to be here as a VC in a country where we have 1.4 billion people, almost 1.2 billion phones, over 600 million smartphones, around the same number of internet users. So the opportunity is only growing as we see it today. And of course, therefore, the opportunity for the consumer businesses to really capture that market.
India is the number 5 economy in the world. Last year, their e-commerce did take off as well, although the lockdowns made it tough for some months. 2 or 3 months during the year, they had to stop delivery. But it hit 46 billion last year. That's up 39% year over year. So not as fast growing as Indonesia, not as fast growing as the US, because those lockdowns made deliveries tough during some parts of the year. But of course, faster than China. The interesting thing to note about India is India, the majority of the market is non-brand product, and those products don't have a fixed price. That means that people are bargaining for the products.
So another interesting, question which we asked a lot of our respondents is, how do you expect spending on MarTech in your organizations to evolve in the next 5 years? And it wasn't a surprise that most of them responded with very positively in terms of wanting to increase MarTech spends sizably, whilst very, very negligible amount of them said it would be constant.
Being authentic means not also worrying too much about creating very stylized, very slickly produced work. I've realized the most important thing is to be able to tell a story, and people want to hear from different kinds of sources.
And it's interesting that just recently, Mukesh Ambani, who we all in India know is one of the most successful and very respected businessmen, who's also the owner of Jio. And he himself talked about how important gaming is when Satya Nadella quizzed him about the importance of gaming. And he replied that for those of us who don't understand gaming, it might be hard to imagine that in this decade, gaming will be bigger than music, movies, and television put together.
And just in my whole kind of experience, then I realized that why weren't there enough women entrepreneurs, right? And why weren't there enough women in finance backing these women? I mean, for example, when you go for these Indian Angel Network or any kind of network meetings, right? I realized that I was the only woman in a group of like 10, 15 men, right? So when someone is coming and presenting, say, something to do with maternity or lingerie wear or women's clothing, right? When you're presenting to 15 men, they're not using that, they're not experiencing that product. So I saw all these deals fall off, right?
I'm extremely bullish about the role that, women entrepreneurs will play, especially in the digital realm, in creating products that are made for women and serve women's needs, which basically will then therefore hopefully attract a lot more women online and, really create a digital democracy, which is the aspiration that I think all of us in the tech ecosystem have.
I wish women have the security and have some kind of ability to be either trained. I'd love to talk to more women and tell them that just go out and do it. Don't look for results.
Again, very much. If you don't mind, since I'm running out of time, I'm going to conclude with all of you. Just the opportunity again to thank everybody who did participate in this first edition. Next one is going to be 2022, but I have my team here that I want to congratulate, all our partners, sponsors, medias. India, China, for you really to know and understand now are going to really be the pillars of Asia Loopers. And then also we'll go through verticals and try to break it down across different countries in the APAC region. So beauty is going to be the next one. And precisely we'll spend a little bit less than a day and break it down, if I can have the next slide, across Indonesia, Japan, Korea, and China. So 5 countries and highlighting a few topics. Thanks very much and bye-bye to everybody.